As soon as the jury had recovered from the shock of being upended, and their slates and pencils had been found and handed back to them, they set to work and wrote down a history of the accident, all except the lizard, who seemed too overcome to do anything but sit with its mouth open, gazing up at the ceiling of the court. "What do you know about this business?" the king said to Alice. "Nothing," said Alice. "Nothing whatsoever?" persisted the king. Nothing whatsoever," said Alice. "That's very important," the king said, turning to the jury. They were just beginning to write this down on their slates when the White Rabbit interrupted. Unimportant, your majesty means, of course," he said in a very respectful tone, but frowning and making faces at him as he spoke. Unimportant, of course I meant," the king hastily said, and went on to himself in an undertone, "Important, unimportant, unimportant, important," as if he were trying which word sounded best. Some of the jury wrote down important and some unimportant. Alice could see this, as she was near and big enough to look over their papers. "But it doesn't matter a bit," she thought to herself. At this moment, the king, who had been for some time busily writing in his notebook, cried, "Silence!" and read out from his book, "Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high are to leave the court." Everybody looked at Alice. "I'm not a mile high," said Alice. "You are," said the king. "Nearly 2 miles high," added the queen. "Well, I won't go at any rate," said Alice. "Besides, that's not a regular rule. You invented it just now." "It's the oldest rule in the book," said the king. "Then it ought to be number 1, said Alice. The king turned pale and shut his notebook hastily. "Consider your verdict," he said to the jury in a low, trembling voice. "There's more evidence to come yet. Please, your majesty," said the White Rabbit, jumping up in a great hurry. "This paper has just been picked up." "What's in it?" said the queen.